girl goes off to sleep again for the night. But this time, she dreams the whole city burning down in flames. But not flames that you'd think. Flames of sparkles and teddies taking over the world. And the dream stops. And then all of a sudden, a new chapter begins of a whole new story. But this girl starts writing a book of something completely different. And then she goes on to publish this book. But later on in life, her friend ends up being pregnant. But she finds it weird because of the story that she wrote. This girl, that her best friend ended up being pregnant, is on the exact same day that the girl in real life and in the book gets pregnant. On November the 16th of 2018. She thinks to herself, oh, it must just be a coincidence. There's no way I've actually written somebody's story. Oh, blah, blah, blah. People write people's stories in real life, but they don't know if it's true. Someone could be writing my story or her story, but this could just be an odd coincidence. But it's also the same day she started that book and published it, all in a year. It's also the day when she got the great news that the baby shower is going to be on that day as well. But in the next few months, but not on November. It's going to be in January on her birthday. She finds that odd as well, because January the 18th is her birthday. Is the little girl's birthday. And in her story, she also writes about the baby shower being January 18th on her birthday at her place, because she's hosting it. But it gets postponed earlier at a venue all the way across the world. But that never happened. But that happened in her dream, in her book. And then, out of the blue, the friend barges in, screaming and shouting like, we need someone to find the place. And then, funny enough, the girl's name in real life is Iris, the best man, and the girl who's hosting the party is Ilanda. So she's so confused, she's so scared that she seeks therapy and help. And she goes to a psych ward and they diagnose her with something. And she don't want it to be disclosed yet. But out of the blue, she puts her hand up and says she will host it at her place on her birthday. Same time, same decorations and everything. And then she runs out screaming, scared, shouting, looking for someone to help her, recognize her signs of help. And her friend is so lost until the friend collapses. She rushes to the CUI. But Ilanda is confused because she never wrote anything about this or dreamt about this. So she's like, oh my god, this just must be all a coincidence. There's no way this actually happens. But then she goes back to her book just to make sure. She reads through it. On page 150, she reads, her friend collapses, baby survives. She dies 3 times in the ambulance, but ends up surviving. That the baby has to be born a month early, and she has to undergo lots of surgery so they both survive. It all goes 100% perfectly, and Ilanda's thinking to herself whether she should burn all her books or write a new story. So she goes on and writes a new story about something she's always wanted to do, and that is to change the world. And then she thinks to herself, not again. Because in her first dream, where nothing was allowed and this country burned down, there's also another little girl called Ilanda that wants to change the world. So she goes on and writes a new story. This time, It's nothing like her life. This time it's nothing like her dream. This time it's nothing about no one. And she is so happy that she's finally found something for herself to do. And then she dives into it. She's sitting there every day, every night, 6 hours, sometimes 12. But she tries to work on it only 1 hour a day, 1 to 3 hours a day. And then the book, she finishes it, she publishes it, and then it explodes. Every single copy in the factory explodes. Ilanda and Iris are both there together. Iris has a smack on her face, but Ilanda can't quite make out what it is. And Ilanda goes and crying so much to the point where she starts to vomit up blood. She goes to the hospital to see if everything's okay with her. Turns out she has a long-time disease that will go away in a year if she starts treatment straight away. And the doctors can't quite name what it is, but they know the treatment for it, but it doesn't have a name. Which is weird, Ilanda's thinking to herself. And Iris comes in, they're all worried, playing the best friend role. Oh my god, I'm so sorry, what's happened? Do you know what it's called? And Ilanda's like, no, I just need treatment. The doctors don't know what it's called. We don't know what's happening. And Iris' face drops to like she's planned something. Ilanda's like asking the doctors to take Iris out so she can be alone by herself for a few minutes. She Googles up something on her phone really quickly. She Googles up her best friend's full name. Ilanda Googles up her best friend's name. When she Googles it up, she sees something that nobody ever wants to see. She Googles up Iris Munchkin Blue. She bursts out in tears, calls the police, and calls the FBI because Iris is a long-time criminal who is wanted. And she calls Iris in and asks, did she set up the bomb to ruin everything? Did she make her plan all this stuff? Were the dreams accidental? Was this all planned? Iris, blank face, empty, hollow eyes, goes, yes, I did. And Ilanda is so confused, like, why? Why would you do that? Iris is like, back in school, you took everything away from me that I wanted. Ilanda cannot think for her life what happened. There were competitions that Iris wanted to win, but Ilanda won. Iris goes, back in year 5, the world all came together one day to mourn a loss of one of the world's most famous people who changed the world forever just by inventing pencils. And then Ilanda found it weird, considering that pencils already existed. But it was a different type of pencil. It was a mechanical pencil. So Ilanda found that extremely strange. But Iris was like, okay, let's get on with it. She says, on that day, no one died. She planned it all. And that one day, when she's older, she will invent something to change the world. Because Ilanda got there first. She burst out in tears that day and sought revenge ever since. That was one thing. The only thing Ilanda ever invented was a machine to help people to walk again. And Iris was so jealous of that, pretended to be all nice or whatever, that to this day she has always planned to kill Ilanda. Ilanda manages to contact the police and FBI just in time, and they take Iris away. Iris is screaming and shouting that this is unfair. She needs justice. In court, Iris explains everything she is planning. She gets sentenced for life. With parole, if she gets out on good behaviour, seeks medical help, she can leave. Ilanda signs a restraining order against her. Blocks all the family and friends that was to do with Iris. Because they were all a part of it, and she gets a restraining order against all of them. Until not even 5 years later, Iris breaks out of prison, seeks secret help from a sketchy underground place. And that place was called the Mug. The Mug was somewhere really sketchy. And it was filled with all these things that would scare a normal human. And then at the end, Iris wants to go find Ilanda. She changed her whole identity. But Ilanda knew Iris too well, so she played along with the part, contacted the police, and Ilanda was correct all along. This time, Iris went to prison without parole, but she still managed to escape. She went back and tormented Ilanda for years. The police couldn't do anything about it without any proof of the human being out of prison, because every single time they would see Iris back in prison, but that was just a body double who was well trained to act like Iris. And Iris was a nasty bully in school as well to everyone. Ilanda thought she could change Iris for the better. Everyone thought that she was weird and crazy, but it ended up happening. Iris used to go around to kids, calling them horrible names, making them quit their dreams, nearly ended up making someone kill themselves. But at the end of it, the little girl, as she keeps writing this, is realizing that she's trapped in her own body. And then she realizes that she is Ilanda in real life. She's writing this story, but this little girl was adopted from young, never known her parents, and what she's writing about, the girl was adopted. And she only figured out she was adopted while she was writing this. Sounds crazy, but true. And then the girl goes up to her birth parents and asks what happened, and they tell her the truth, that Iris was actually their birth daughter. They had to give her up for adoption, but the two parents were best friends and swapped Ilanda and Iris because they knew that Iris was going to be a demon and Ilanda was going to be an angel. And when that happened, when they grew up, they didn't know Ilanda would have these crazy powers to write her whole life and someone else's life and make fictional and non-fictional stuff about it. They took her to a psych ward, and it turned out Ilanda was one of the most famous people after this for predicting stuff and figuring out stuff just by writing. She didn't start a business with it or whatever, because she didn't want to get in any trouble or tell people stuff that they probably weren't allowed to know. But she went to Iris in prison and told the body double to get out while she can, because that body double was someone so innocent and so frightened of the world that she ratted out the real Iris. And then the real Iris came back, kidnapped both of them, but a police officer was with them the whole time. And the body double of Iris, she explained everything, how the real Iris made her do this. It said she would do horrible stuff to her and her family if she didn't. As the little girl's writing this, she realizes her hands are on automatic and isn't allowing her to stop until the story is finished. And then she's so scared that she takes her other hand with force, snaps the pen, grabs another pen, and makes it kinder because she don't wants to know the rest of her life or relive it because it was so horrible now that she thinks about it deeply. She bursts out in tears, wondering why they swapped at birth. Then she realizes how would the parents have known how they would have grown up. She's so confused that she gets back the old pencil, glues it back together, carries on writing, and they were reincarnated. And they knew what it was going to be like, and they did not want to live through that experience again. So they swapped babies, raised the child the same and differently at the same time. And it was so weird that Iris burst out in tears when she figured out it as well. when Islander told her in prison. But then, out of the blue, Islander goes missing one day. Iris had nothing to do with it because she had 24/7 cameras on her and the police with her every second of the day. But Islander came back all safe, but was scared. She said that one day she woke up, all she could see was black. But she was in her own home, but she was invisible because nobody noticed her that day. Everyone was at work. She went for an eye test, and it turned out she was slowly losing her sight. So she grabs a pen really quick, writes such a kind of story to change the world. And it ended up changing the world. People started cheering, laughing, gathering. That they raised enough money for Islander to get her eye surgery to be able to see forever. And then Islander that day goes back to bed. She dreams of the book she just wrote, of fairies, unicorn, princesses, people bonding together no matter who or what they are. And Islander feels so much better in herself that she's safe from Iris and Iris's friends and family. She is safe with herself and her adoptive parents. A few years later, she moves out, all safe, until one day, a massive storm takes her house away while she's at work. She she moves back in with her adoptive parents. The adoptive parents are a bit older now. They end up in a hospital with an illness that they can't recover from and end up passing away a few years later. Islander is torn to pieces. She hosts the most beautiful funeral ever imagined, and everyone that she knew attended. And then a few years go by, and Islander writes history again by making the first ever talk glasses. She makes the first ever talk glasses by mistake, and she managed to sell millions. And then a few years go by again, and now Islander's in her 50s. She tries to visit Iris in prison. She manages to. Ask how Iris is doing, see if she's getting any better, and ever wants to seek help. Iris goes like, no, if I ever get out of here in time, before I die, I will come back and revenge so bad that the second the police get to me, they will have no choice but there to put me in my grave. Islander warns the police about this, and then Iris moves to a bigger and more engraved police station. But she was saying she was just doing a silent threat. But it weren't like that to the police. Islander never goes back to visit Iris. Islander lives with her life. So one day, she has the same illness that her parents did, her adoptive parents. She knows she won't live for long, so she does the thing she's always wanted to do. She goes on a roller coaster for the first time that she never thought she would do because she was always too scared. She loved it. She went to a theme park. She went to an arcade. She became a nursery worker, and she loved it. She was there for a year and left. She helped out charities, and she also painted stuff, created stuff with clay, gave teddies away, did loads of game shows, talk shows, podcasts, and everyone was so happy. Kids loved her. Everyone loved her. And it was all a happy ending until she passed away 8 years later. Thousands attended her funeral. One secret person was there. Iris. She was the one that planned it all. The funeral. She planned how beautiful the funeral was going to be. She loved Islander's work. She wishes she'd never done any of that stuff. If she could go back in time, she would. And Iris carried on her legacy. Police let her out as long as she has someone with her all the time. People started to see Iris and how she changed. People started to like her. And then Iris, late 80s, retires, but her kids and grandkids kept her on. When Iris turned 96, she passed away from cardiac arrest in her sleep. Her kids and grandkids were devastated, had another beautiful funeral, but they carried on the legacy forever. And then more kids joined, so it made a business, and everyone became happy. The world, countries, all loved each other. No one was enemies. When there was an enemy, they would sit down, talk to each other, realize what happened, and see how stupid it was that they were fighting over. And the little girl that wrote all of this realized she just wrote her whole story and millions of others, and she changed the world in one book. And the little girl's name was Ilanda Stitch Cross. Ilanda Stitch Cross changed the world for millions of people in a book. She wrote millions of people's lives in one book. She saved billions by sitting down with a pen. She thinks to herself, she's just lived the dream she's always dreamed of. And then a few years later, the little girl in real life passes away in her late 80s. She was 87 at that time. When she passed away, her real kids and grandkids carried on her legacy. But the one thing she wished was to donate £5 million to charities all across the world. Her kids and grandkids did that for her in her name. And they were so happy that they actually published her book, her first 5 books, and it changed even more people's lives. Sooner or later, it sold out everywhere, and the world came to peace. Everyone loved each other. There was never fights ever again. The end. I really hope you guys enjoyed the story. That was all made up on the spot. I did not do any planning for that whatsoever. I just turned on my camera and just started blurting out random stuff. And it all somehow made sense. If it didn't make much sense, that's okay. But some bits of that story is actually true about me. Wanting to publish my book, and the book I keep writing is based on people's lives that I don't even know about, that I read on the news later on. Well, not on the news, but then I see it randomly on TikTok or YouTube. And then I'm like, I've just wrote about this, and someone else has just gone and do it in real life, and I was thinking I was writing about a fictional place. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. There's 2 shorts on my YouTube about it. I don't know how to connect it to this, but I'll try to figure it out. So yeah, I probably will end up doing this every week, hopefully. And maybe I can start doing some acting to it, but when I'm actually going to do different bits for the acting. So yeah, and the acting's also all made up, never scripted. I think I should start doing some scripts to make it better. But let me guys know what. Guys, let me know in the comment what you want my next story to be based on and whatever, and I'll see if I can do a script for it. But if I start doing a script, I'll write a 1,000-page book and I'll never get to it. So just let me know and I'll do it straight away. And now I've got to go tidy and do my bed, so I'll see you guys soon. Bye! Always remember to be shining like a star. You're worth it. Love you. Bye. What am I doing?